Hello, family, friends, followers, and visitors. Thank you for dropping in. I appreciate the guests. Ask you to subscribe, follow, and all those kinds of good things. So let me tell you about the nation we are. We have the terrorist organization, Black Lives Matters, that nobody does anything about, and who, with respect to black lives, don't really matter. They aren't doing anything about it. Nothing in the arena that it really needs to be dealt with. And that's in the inner cities and the big cities, where thousands of people are being killed every year. They don't know the name of any of them. All they know is the few bad guys, mostly bad guys, who have been shot by a cop, black or white. But they've been targeted because they're black, right? Yeah, right. So we know the truth of the matter on that. Black lives don't matter. If they really mattered, then the Black Lives Matters organization would actually be supporting the police, working on the kind of change they think would be good in the police departments, and dealing with the issue of black on black murder. They're not. Antifa, a terrorist organization that has already caused hundreds of millions of dollars. And what have we done about that as a nation? Or individually in any of the big cities we're talking about? What's been done? Another terrorist organizations, and we allow them to grow and thrive. The greatest terrorist organization of any of them, the U.S. Supreme Court. What have we done about that? We call it Roe v. Wade and the murder of babies. They may still be in the womb, but they're no less babies. And they sanctioned that. They authorized it as a political expedient. Let's talk about what kind of nation we really are. Let's talk about riots in Portland for months, and nobody stepped up to the plate. You got a loser queer governor there named Brown, and you got Ted Wheeler, the mayor of that city. My girl used to go like this. She'd go, loser! Anyway, we have those kinds of things going on. But let's talk about the rest of it. Blatant voter fraud that the terrorist organization, the Supreme Court, would not take up at a time when it could and should have. And in dealing with facts, the news pundits, and especially Fox News, they say, well, that's all been taken care of. It's been debunked. We all know that's BS. We have the swamp. We have Hillary Clinton, who blatantly created and violated situations that are felonies, and not one thing has happened to her. We have politicians on both sides of the aisle, as they call it, who lied and continue to lie to you and me on a regular basis, and there is no accountability except at the voters' box, and no one has the guts to vote them out. You have the political machine, the swamp. People like Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff, Romney, liars, have their own fingers in the till. And then you have the president-elect, soon-to-be president, Joe Biden, whose brother Jim and his son were involved in the Ukraine and China. And Biden admits that he sold us out. And the Democrats, half of the nation, voted for him. And what did he do in Georgia with the runoff we just had, because it meant control of the Senate? He bought votes, and he did it by this: if I'm elected president, you will get your $2,000 check, your stimulus check. Right. And that may be true. I don't know. Then, of course, you have the obvious voter fraud that's been verified, but as far as the news media is concerned, it's been debunked because it wasn't great enough. It wasn't serious enough to overturn the election. It doesn't matter that nobody investigated it to the depth it needed to be investigated, and the courts wouldn't take it up. So let me tell you about the nation we are. We have sometimes hundreds of people murdered on a weekend. We don't do anything about it. And the people that should care the most for the number of people that are being murdered that have a genotype of being what we call Black Lives Matter, won't do one damn thing about it. You have the Christian element, who claim to be Christians, but they won't talk about when life really starts and do anything politically, because they're afraid of the government. If they engage in politics, they might be taxed. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the murder of babies. The list goes on and on and on. Tell me what makes our nation's capital so sacrosanct. Did I say that right? Somebody correct me. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's just a building. If it's destroyed tomorrow, so what? We'll just tax the people more and rebuild it. Maybe we'll do it with cheap labor, illegal aliens that cross the border, and we'll let a bunch of them in so they can build our Capitol building for us. How about that, you guys? Yeah. So if this is sounding like a rant, it's not, because I could really go on a rant. What I'm doing is I'm talking about our nation and what it really is, and the fact that people are allowed to go and protest. Now they talk about, it should be peaceful protests, like the Tea Party. How about at the Concord Bridge, when the British decided to go in and take firearms away from the people who needed them to protect themselves from the British? Thus, ultimately, the Second Amendment, for us to be able to protect ourselves from the government. If I'm going to have government shooting at me and murdering me because I went into a building, I want to be able to defend myself. And whatever they're using for weapons, I should be able to use too. That's what I think about it. That's what I think was intended by the Founding Fathers. And I read the documents, and I've read them all. I'm reasonably certain of it in my heart. So I've made a loop here on a semi-rant, and I'll tell you about the nature of our government and why Fox lies to you. We know why CNN does. We know why MSN does and ABC. I mean, you go through the alphabet list. But here's why Fox lies to you. They are now in fear, true fear, because it appears the Democrats control the House, the Senate, thus the Congress, and they control the presidency. What about the Supreme Court? We've already seen historically how gutless they are, and we have just seen how gutless they are with respect to the most sacred part of the democratic side of our republic. Oh yeah, Doesn't take rocket science to figure this one out. I'll tell you what the Supreme Court's afraid of. They're afraid of Supreme Court packing. And the Dems are so damn dumb, they'll probably try to do it and may be successful. Every time they've tried something like that, sooner or later it's come back to politically bite them in a major way. We now have a people that, based on the vote, is about 50% on one side of the issue and 50% on the other side of the issue. What happens when those who are the takers and have nothing take too much from those who are trying to accumulate something, and they can't? We are at war. The representative of that war is Ashli Babbitt. Make no mistake about it. We will see how this all flows out. With everything I wrestle with, I probably won't see the end of it in my lifetime, and I fear for my posterity. I'm saddened. I wish you all the very best. Very best. Good luck. You need it.